All right, guys, welcome to the Ketone Tech Captains Team Zoom call. It is Monday, June 3rd, and man, we have got a lot to go over tonight. We are going to start with our top 50 new volume people from May of 2019, and Mr. Adam was number 2 in new volume for the month of May, so huge congratulations to him. We're going to have him kind of give out some pointers on what he did and what he's been doing. And then we're going to go into a whole recap of Keto Academy and more. So we're going to have several leaders kind of talk on that topic. So guys, again, celebration is huge, right? When you celebrate your team, I think it's always important. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for taking the time on a Monday night to get on the team call. Love it, love it, love it. And Adam, let's start with you, buddy, because again, man, you're being consistent and you just keep climbing every month. And you know what's really cool, Adam, I get to watch your Instagram stories and you're getting more involved over the last month. I say, and I'll be honest with you, I think that's because you have engaged so much, which means you have really bought in and you're just sharing what you're already doing. That's what I love. And I think that's what I want a lot of people to see. Is that you're not doing anything special. You're just putting it out there now, right? You're just actually putting it out there and giving enough information that's creating curiosity with people. So let's kind of talk a little bit about that. What really kind of shifted for you in the month of May?
I think probably, I don't know that anything necessarily shifted. It was just being consistent. I think like you had brought up, just staying consistent with all the people that I had started conversations with, and really it isn't doing anything more special than the next person. It's just staying consistent with it and keeping the conversations going and showing that it really is, I don't know, for me, like something I try to tell people is like it really is kind of easy in my opinion. Like you don't have to be an expert, which I think is something that gets said a lot. Let somebody else be the expert. If somebody has questions, connect them with Shane or Coach Rob or John Smay or somebody. Connect them with somebody else that's going to have the answers.
And again, let's talk about. I mean, again, you're guys. If y'all don't know Adam's story, you've been doing this now. What, 3 months? Has it been a total of about?
Yeah, so like end of January. So I guess maybe 4.
Okay, 4. So we're going in 4 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 months in. And you guys, he's home with 4 kids. He's the dad at home that's taking care of 4 young babies. And guys, I mean, he is busy 24/7. What's really cool though is that he shares his journey of being a stay-at-home dad with his kids and drinking ketones on Instagram on this storyline. And that's really cool because you get to really see what he's doing. And he's just piquing all these curiosity things. He's just like putting it out there. He's not really giving it away. He's just, again, kind of teasing a lot of people, but it's what he's doing on a daily basis. And guys, if you're curious about how Instagram stories work, Facebook stories work, they're literally like 10 seconds long. So if you think it takes a lot of time, he's literally holding down his camera button for 10 seconds on the story and then adding a little tag to it of some kind. And he might be doing 1, 2, or 3. So at the total of it, it's maybe at the end of it, by the time he's done tagging and adding his little taglines, all that. Adam, you're probably spending maybe 5 minutes to do it.
If that 5 minutes at the very most, like it's maybe, I mean, it's minutes. And it's, I don't know. I think that the stories are definitely useful to let people see a little bit into your life and what happens every day. And so for me, it's, getting babies fed and drinking ketones and then heading out and running errands and doing Mr. Mom stuff.
Yeah. But even when you're out, I mean, you're even bringing the ketones out with you as well. So you're carrying around shaker bottles. I mean, kind of what is the conversation like when you're out and about and you're just being Mr. Dad outside?
Gosh, I don't know. I think just how much I dig the products, and then, just the conversation kind of grows from there and people ask questions and I try and give them some of the answers. And I don't know, I feel like I have a hard time not spewing too much info. like trying to just like vomit a bunch of information. It's like I have to try and keep it simple sometimes. So.
Yeah. And that's very true. Again, that's a lot of, I mean, we're so excited about it. It's not that you're trying to sell somebody. It's just, you're so excited about how it works and how easy it is. We get into really talking a lot, and we've got to be better at what? Becoming better listeners to find out what it is that people are looking for. Because when you ask what people are looking for, then they're willing to tell you. And then you go, you know what? I think ketones could really help you with that. You know what?
Absolutely.
I think ketones are worth a try. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely being, it's being passionate about something, and then trying to hold back the reins a little bit. Yep. And let them do the talking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's, again, I think that's something that we all learn, and you're learning that from a standpoint of getting started in this, which is exciting because you see the growth, right? I get to watch and see you grow, and that's exciting because, again, it's not like you're having to be coached every single day. It's just you're applying what I consider already been working, and you're just being consistent with it. I think that's the biggest thing that we always say. Consistency is key. I mean, it's all about being consistent, committed, and doing exactly what we've all said is not trying to reinvent the wheel, right? We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's already been proven what works. You just have to go out there and keep doing it. And that's the cool part about it. So going into now, do you have goals when you're doing this, Adam? Is there any kind of goal in mind? Is there any kind of method to the madness, I guess, is what it can be sometimes? I mean, even the follow-up. How would you even say you deal with follow-up, being at home, dealing with the kids, doing all the things that you do?
So I think, I don't know. I think I have a hard time, or maybe not a hard time, but like I try and stay consistent with follow-up. Like a lot of it is, starting conversations and then keeping those conversations going, and keep the interest there while they're, still on the lure or whatever, or still on the hook or whatever, however you want to say it. But, they've asked questions, and trying to stay consistent with talking to them and trying to answer questions or say, hey, there's a special or whatever it is. So like, as soon as I get out an experience pack, I try to follow up, maybe 3 days later, and make sure that they have started their experience pack. More often than not, they're like, oh, I'm going to start it Monday. And it'll be like Tuesday or something. And it's like, just start it now. So.
Right. Because people think that you got to have like the perfect timing, right? There's got to be like the perfect day, the perfect timing. No, it's just like drink the darn things. Add them to water and drink them. Like it doesn't perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's like it doesn't need to be Monday after a holiday, or next week, or the first of this month, or whatever it is. Just start doing it now.
Yep.
So
that's exactly right. So what would you say your goal is for June? I mean, we're going into now, kids are out of school. We're in summertime mode. What do you see kind of now June being for you?
I'd like to stay consistent, and just consistently moving forward and try and help. So I've got a handful of promoters under me, and I'd like them to, try and guide them to do the same thing, and keep progressing for them. So.
Awesome. Love it. Well, congratulations, buddy. I mean, you're number 2 in the new volume for the month of the whole team, which is massive. I mean, it's awesome. We've got over almost 900 promoters in the team, and you're number 2. So that's something to be congratulated for and recognized for. So keep it up, buddy. You're doing great. And thank you again for sharing and just being consistent with everything that you're doing. And then, again, being a great dad at the same time. So you have balance, which is awesome. All right, guys. So we're going to get now recap kind of Keto Academy and more from the leaders that were there. I'm going to start with Diane Thomas, who was there. Diane, I got to hear what this is all about because, again, now I have missed Epic and I have missed Keto Academy and more due to family events and just timing, all that kind of stuff. So kind of fill me in. What did you take away? What was it all? I mean, again, the excitement is always there, but let's hear it.
The excitement was definitely there. This was my second event, Keto Academy. So, and I missed Epic as well. But I will definitely say that this time, I absorbed a much more at a broader level than I did last time. So that was a big thing for me, was just not being so overwhelmed with all the information that they were given. The Keto Academy piece was amazing. We had the doctors, of course, and was Josh Pear, and he talked about how following the ketogenic diet helped him, as well as the ketones with his 4 brain tumors, which was pretty amazing. And so something that stuck out with me with him was, we were talking about, he was talking about, coming from the heart, leading from the heart and things like that. And when he didn't think that he would be able to go from being an athlete into coaching other people, and that adrenaline and that nervousness that you get when you're an athlete getting ready to compete, he gets that same feeling when he's coaching other people. So that was a big takeaway for me, because that piece, when you're an athlete, you're an athlete, you get that same thing, to where your passion comes out and you start helping. And so I think having the passion and being able to make sure that you expound on it and have that same feeling was a great thing. And for Dr. Andrea Kimtelli, one of the things that really stuck out to me was the intermittent fasting, which increases cell turnover and increases lifespan up to 50%. That was huge, because that is an actual takeaway for that. And that for 12-hour minimum for insulin levels to drop to have photography occur. So those were a couple things on that one. And Dr. Ken Ford, he was pretty amazing. He, for the second time me hearing him, he wasn't, the doctors and the science. I mean, they're all pretty, I don't want to say monotone, but, he made a good point as far as reserving muscle and preserving it and creating muscle is like thinking of it like a 401k plan. So you're depositing it daily for retirement. So if we look at what the ketones do for our body, they help protect and preserve the muscle that we already have, as well as help create more. And if we think of it that way, I mean, we put into our retirement every day. Why would we not put into our body every day? Mm-hmm. So I that was a huge takeaway for me, especially for someone that is, when you explain what the ketones do and some of the things that they do, and you mention that piece, and they're like, oh, well, I can make muscle later, or something. But it's over time. It's building it up, so that way you can have the same quality of life later. And let's see, what else? Oh, Dr. Brian Lowry, he mentioned that with the ketones, 30 minutes later with Keto Nat, improves visual speed 63% faster.
Visual, like eye?
Visual, eye, yeah. Wow. They actually did neurological testing. And the processing speed is 24% faster.
Huh.
So those two things, and that was with the Keto Nat 30 minutes later. So they went in and did the testing, and then drank the ketones, and then 30 minutes after that did the testing again, so they could see the difference.
Right.
And so that is huge.
Yeah. I
mean, to have that visual processing speed. I mean, because as we age, I mean, we're all, fighting for all the time. I mean, everything seems to slow down, and so does the visual processing, your side, I mean, everything. So I think that's huge. I mean, I was shocked with that one. That was amazing. And then my takeaway from Dr. Mary, she talked about, and
Mary Newport, right?
Mary Newport, yeah. She talked about the sugar intake And then 1820, the average sugar per person was 6 pounds in 1820. In 2005, it's 100 pounds. Could you imagine?
And we're talking about annual consumption.
Annual consumption of sugar.
Yeah, annual consumption of sugar.
And so she was going to that with that because she said that more than 100 million people are going to be diabetic. And 100 million people, excuse me.
Right.
So 1 in 3 are either going to be diabetics or pre-diabetic. And then 1/3 of them will develop dementia.
Jeez.
So those were some really huge takeaways. I mean, the sugar I didn't realize was that much. And the increase in type 2 diabetes for children is huge.
Yeah, that is big.
Yeah.
I love all the science. I mean, it's all backed by valid facts, research, information. That's what's so cool about that day at Keto Academy. Yeah. Yeah.
So those were some of the big takeaways that I got from that. But the more part, oh my gosh, that was amazing. We had Joseph there, and we went through the whole process and we broke the arrow again.
Right.
So the resistance factor. And that, I will say, was really, for me, it was really eye-opening, more than last time. And I think, you know, how everyone says that this is the best event ever than before, you know, well, it truly was. From the last event that I went to till this one, it was just, there was a lot more heart, a lot more passion. I was at a different place. So there was, you know, different things that I took in, and that was huge. And the other thing is that, I mean, I was excited to have 7 other ladies there with me, part of my team. A couple of them could only stay for the first day. But for the most part, they got to experience it and really see the heart of Brian, the CEO, and really see what the company is about and their vision. And also the, where are my notes at? Actually, they did a little bit more training this time. So we had breakout where we did some action. So we got into action the first day versus having multiple speakers. So I did like that. That was a good takeaway. So, you know how when we went to Dallas, we had Joseph, plus we had David Coggins, and then plus we had Jared. And the COCs had Jared this time, and we just had Joseph. So that was, I think, from someone going in and only having, I think that was perfect, to be honest with you. And I think having the activity that we were able to do for the business piece was much on a more broader scale. So on day 1, we had some call to actions where and then we left the room and went and did them for a couple hours, and then came back and did the same thing, and then left a couple more hours. And then on day 2, we had Joseph. And then day 3, we had the top leaders on stage as a panel. And we went through ACE, attract, commit, and enroll. So different things that you can do.
Quick, so ACE is the acronym, right? ACE. So it was
Correct. Attract,
commit,
connect,
enroll.
Connect and enroll.
Connect. Attract, connect,
yep. Connect and enroll. So the first one they talked about was attract. So they talked about social media. They also talked about when we do the videos, to talk louder, to be more excited, to get their attention. They talked about doing for posting. So we had the new flavors, the mint chocolate chip and the peach tea. And so to create a poll on your page that showed just 2 pictures to create that curiosity and to follow through and follow up with them. And then they talked about the watch party. So this was another thing for the watch party that I didn't know, is that when you do your watch party from someone else's video, all the comments from the people who are watching with you stay on your newsfeed and not go to the video. So there's a way for you to follow up with them and not go with the other people. So it stays on your wall.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. That was interesting because I've never done one. And so we all had to do them. And then one thing that Nick Martinez said, we were talking about, let's see, where's my notes at? He said, hey, we were handing out 5 and 10 day sample packs. And he said, so a good way to follow up, he says, just like what you mentioned earlier and Adam talked about, hey, were you able to drink all the flavors? What was your favorite flavor? There's a 15% sale today, so make sure you grab a box and be sure to set up SmartShip to get 22% off your next month. So following up with the intention through and knowing what words to use when you follow up with the 5 and 10 day experience pack, which I thought was good. I thought that was really amazing. And then Brian talked about the vision, but he also talked about to attract them and don't push them away. So when he meant by attracting them, he says, don't try and sell them. He said, so when you ask someone if you want them to hop on a call with you, so every Tuesday night, the company does a opportunity call that we can have customers and potential prospects for promoters come on. He said, would you be able to hop on a call if I sent you a private link? He said, so attract them and don't push them away. And that, I mean, it's all in wording again. It's all in, the intentions of what you're trying to get and what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Marry the process, not the outcome. All the things that you've talked about, they pretty much touched upon. The Protone, the new shake that's coming out with the ketones, has 9 patents, which is pretty exciting.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Can you give us a little bit of an update on Protone?
As far as, let's see, it has the MCT oil in it. I did not actually get it, so I haven't been able to try it. But they said it would be coming out soon this month. It is 80 calories, and it can be used as basically a good recovery drink. So after you work out, it would be a good recovery drink or a snack drink. So it does have ketones in it, but not at the same level. It's not supposed to replace our current ketones. Just like Keto Up is not supposed to replace our current ketones. They're in addition. So having the body in ketosis longer throughout the day is where they were going with that based on the science that we learned in Keto Academy.
So I think it's important that we say that, I'm glad you said it's not to replace anything, because everything, you got to remember, the main idea is the main idea. Keto Nat is the main idea, guys. Keto Nat is your main product. Everything else that we see that is in the store is what we call support, right? You have all this support around the main product. So you have Keto Calm T, you have your Signal OS, you have the Keto Reboot, you have now Protone coming out, you have Keto Up. You have the keto bone broth. Again, realize that as you're talking to people and as you're kind of talking about ketones, Keto Nat is always your main product. That is your number one go-to when you're trying to get people into the ketone conversation, when you're trying to talk about ketosis, when you're trying to just peak and spur the interest. And then you use the keto cream, right? Keto cream is a support product because there's no ketones in that. It's all just healthy fat. So again, every single thing that you see other than Keto Nat is supporting Keto Nat. So it's always important to realize, keep the main idea, and then find other ways. And if somebody is either resistant or not catching on to Keto Nat, what are your options? Well, now you have what? Keto Cream, Signal OS, Keto Up. Now you're going to have Protone. You're going to have Keto Calm Tea. You're going to have Keto Bone Broth. You're going to have all these other ways that kind of do what? They kind of start shoving people back into the conversation of what ketones and Keto Nat is all about. Does that make sense? Does that help everybody kind of understand? I'm glad you said that, Diane, that it's not to replace anything, because a lot of times people will think that it replaces.
Right.
Keto Nat is
your main.
Guys, that is your main. That is it. That's the gold star of everything. And that's what you want everybody on SmartShift for. And then you have all these support products that, again, guys, it's all about increasing the order basket, right? I mean, if you can get people to understand how this supports this, supports this, supports this, well, then that just means you have somebody going from ordering 1 or 2 boxes of ketones to now adding a box of Keto Up, and then adding a box of Keto Calm Tea, and then adding a box of Keto Cream. And then now do you see how your order basket is getting bigger, your SmartShip is getting bigger, and your residual commission is getting bigger as you start allowing other support products to come in and support the main thing. So I've always, every time I talk or every time I'm having a conversation with somebody, you keep the main thing the main thing. If they don't bite, if they don't seem too intrigued about it, well, then that's where you start having the idea of Keto Cream, Keto Tea, Keto Bone Broth, Keto. I mean, you've got so many other ways to create that conversation to get you back to Keto Nat. So I didn't mean to take over, Diane, but just thank you for jumping in and saying that, because it gave me gave me a minute to really emphasize what I want everybody, what I consider to be just such a big deal. Again, the reason why I continue to bring in new customers, new promoters every month is because I use support products to keep the main idea. So love it. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And let's see. And then we actually talked about the reboot and had, I'm trying to go over my notes. Dustin was talking about getting people to do the reboot. And the reboot is, I would say it's a staple product, just like the Nat ketones are. And the reason is because of the science that we learned as far as doing consistent intermittent fasting and all the health benefits behind it. So he went through and talked about a couple ways, just 2 sentences of how you can get people to do it with you. So I'm going to read what he says. Now, one thing he did say, he says, change the wording to match your personality, because he used Michael as an example, as Michael would say this, but his friends wouldn't buy it. So he says, hey sister, will you reboot with me? So if you're not used to saying, hey sister, or hey girlfriend, or, hey dude, do you want to do this with me? Use your own verbiage, and so that was a short, sweet, and then if they say yes, then you send them a short video to explain it. So using the tools. And then the second thing he says, after what I've learned this weekend, I realized how important the keto reboot is for my health, and I would love to have you do it with me. Can I send you a link? So that reaching out to people, trying to know what to say, I think was a big thing for them, going over just having a little small script. And that was huge for a lot of people in there, because half the room in there had never been to a Keto Academy. So, and the other half had been. So then he also talked about a commit. So commit to an action post on social media, commit to a Keto Life party, and then staying in action by sending your top 10 customers notes, just little things and message them and send them things when it comes time for new flavors and things like that, to keep engagement and keep your retention. Let's see. We have a playbook event coming up in Atlanta. You posted that earlier today. So that would be the one that we're going to, that's closest. And that was designed to get people there. So rent a van, fill it up with people, and haul up the road. So I think that'll be an awesome event. And then he talked about the MVP multiplier. And that is where you can earn products as well as cash.
Yes.
So that I think you posted as well. So the ones
I haven't posted the keto multiplier yet. I will do.
Okay.
I haven't done it yet.
Okay. So one of the things was having a meeting, as they called Inner Circle with Brian, that he just kind of mentioned out there that we would have for those that do everything. But that was, I mean, those were the biggest. Focus on doing 1 to 2 IPA income producing activities a day. So even if it's 20 seconds. And so that was one thing that, you know, everyone's life is, you know, life happens. Mine's a little crazy at the moment. And so if he just said, if you just spend 20 minutes, 2 minutes a day doing an income producing activity and be consistent with it. So it's the same thing that you talked about is consistency, doing the same thing every day. It builds the skill. It becomes the habit. It becomes second nature. And then as it does that, it continues to multiply.
Yep.
So that was the thing. And the doing our innate statement. We had to do that letter. And so like we did last time. So those are my really good takeaways for me. Everyone has a different takeaway. And I think for those that haven't attended Keto Academy more, you definitely need to try and get to the next one. And that is something that, unless you have a mom getting married, not to miss event. Because each time you go, you're in a different place in your business as well as in your life. And so you receive things differently, and it will definitely help you grow. And I know it's helped me, and I haven't even been home less than 24 hours. And the one thing that I will say for the logistics piece of it, for those that haven't been, and then even for myself, I'm going to make sure that the next day I'm there. So that way I can kind of take all this information and come up with a plan with the folks that are already there versus coming home. Because once you come home, I have been nonstop all day at work and just got home a half hour before the call. So I really haven't even had time to dive in to all the information that I've received. And really organize my thoughts and organize what it is, because when you're there, you're in that zone. You're in all that energy. I mean, the energy is huge. And so everything else you don't even hear, you don't even see. And then as soon as you step away from that, you're kind of back to reality. Yeah. And so the one thing I would say is always the next day, don't fly home until later that day. So that way, and make it priority. I mean, yes, we all have, I don't do this full time because I do have another business. And one day it will be my full-time plan B to plan A, but make that same commitment to it. So if you're, a business owner, you need to make the same commitment to this business. That's what I would say. So if you are investing your time and your money into the event, don't discount yourself by not giving you the allotted time the following day after the event.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be, I think that's huge.
Yeah. Well, because you have to kind of like what I would almost call decompress and process everything. I mean, It was 4 days of intense. I mean, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's a lot of information that comes out, not only from the doctors and just Thursday, but then you have 3 days of personal growth and development that you really got to find out where you are. I mean, I've always said, nobody's going to do this for you. You got to find out where your commitment level is. You got to find out what your motivation and your drive is. And you got to find out, just how you do this, because a lot of times we overthink it. A lot of times we almost disqualify ourselves before we ever get started, or we let the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 no's disqualify us to think that nobody wants to do this. Nobody's doing it with me. Why is nobody joining me? Why is nobody jumping on board? Why does nobody like them as much as me? You start this whole thing in your head. And I think it's great because going to events, you get surrounded by people that are just like on fire just as much as you. And you realize, okay, I'm not the only one. Because in our own little world sometimes we feel like we're the only one, right? But you go to an event and you realize, holy cow, there's a lot of people here. Holy cow, there's a lot of people that are really doing this, that are really making it happen, that are really touching a lot of lives. And that's why, again, I mean, I've been to every event up until Epic, and it's just happened that family events have gotten in the way. But I'm telling you, I go every single time for the simple fact that not only is it good for me, but it rejuvenates not only the conversation, but it rejuvenates the importance and the urgency. I have urgency, and the urgency is to be in the conversation. My urgency is that I want everybody to see that, guys, there are so many people that have no idea what drinking ketones is all about. They have no clue what ketosis is. They have no clue what ketones are. They have no clue that this is even available. So, again, you got to align yourself with where you are and where you want to go. And you got to align yourself with the right people that are going to keep pushing you in the direction that you want to go. You don't want somebody pulling you back, right? Negativity, and I've talked about this on team calls before, but negativity attracts negativity, right? That negative mindset, you know, you get around other people that are like, it's not really working, or I didn't really see much, or you know, I'm not doing one of those things. All of a sudden, if you start surrounding yourself with that kind of conversation, then you're going to disqualify yourself and you're going to check out, right? And that's where I have to continually say, these team calls are important, going to events are important, getting on the Prove It Facebook page is important, plugging into the videos, the live Facebook videos that they do is important. You've got to stay plugged into the information, because you've got to realize that there is something bigger here than we all realize it at what I would say 99% of the time, because this is just getting started. And again, you keep the main thing the main thing. Simplicity is what helps us grow, guys. The only reason why I continue to keep growing my business and continue to keep bringing in new people is because I keep it simple. I'm not trying to complicate it. Again, there's nothing special that I'm doing anything different that I would say other than anybody else out here on the team. It's just that I'm consistent. I'm consistent with the conversation. I'm consistent with keeping, you know, my paraphernalia on. I'm consistent with always doing the things that I can do to stay engaged in the conversation, to create curiosity. So I love it. Thank you, Adam and Diane, for sharing tonight. Guys, I mean, there's so much more information I know we could go over. I know so many more people could talk about it, and we're going to have more people and more leaders share. But this is just a great, what I call, segue into the next big event, the Playbook event coming up June 29th. Okay, guys? Mark that on your calendar. I posted it in the group. June 29th, 4 different locations. You want to try to get to one of them, for sure. You definitely want to try to get to one of them. It's a one-day event. It's worth it. Again, guys, it's a write-off. You have your own home business. You get to write it off. You're going to want a tax advantage. I'm telling you guys, as a stay-at-home entrepreneur now that does not leave the house unless I want to go eat or I want to go work out or whatever, this is a tax gold mine for those that are looking for tax write-off opportunity. When you work from home, there's a lot of ways to get a tax write-off, okay? And you get to travel on a business tax write-off. So I'm just saying, be smart. Think entrepreneurial-based. Don't think what I would consider to be short-minded, right? Don't look at what it costs you now. Look at what you can gain in 6 months from now, right? A lot of times we get focused on what it's costing us or what's not happening right now, when in the long run, it's what you do now that pays off 6 months from now. It's what you do now that pays off 90 days from now. It's what you do now that pays off 30 days from now. There are things that, again, guys, that I'm doing now that are going to help me grow 30 days, 90 days, 6 months from now, a year from now. So again, somebody that's been in this and doing this for 2.5 years now, it's working. And it continues to work for me every single month. Again, I'm only going to speak from a leadership role of I've been there, I've done it, I'm doing it, right? I was number 1 in new volume last month. I'm number 1 in new volume this month, although I don't put the number 1 symbol by my name because it's not about me, but it's about showing you guys that I'm in the conversation and that I'm doing it.
And that was something that they spoke about too, was what you just said, is the leaders staying in action.
We have to. I mean, a lot of times people think that the person that got this all started just kicks back and lives the high life. Not hardly. I'm hardly kicking back and living the high life. I can tell you guys that right now. It is a consistent daily thing for me. In fact, I'm working even harder now to create conversation, to stay in conversation, because I want to do more. Again, my level of achievement is different for me than it is for you. My level of success is different. My goals, my vision of where I want to be is different. Not because we're just different. It's just that I have an idea of where I want to go and what I want to do with this, but I'm also so excited because I know what this can do for people, because I get text messages daily. I get phone calls daily. I get Facebook messages daily of people that are like, dude, this has changed my life. Like, dude, I cannot believe what I'm just experiencing. I had somebody message me today. They're like, Shane, I'm at an MX. He's at a motocross FCA camp right now in Texas, down in Houston. It's a freaking 100 degrees and it's 100% humidity. I mean, they're sweating like nobody's business. But he goes, Shane, I can't tell you enough how much I am so thankful for ketones. He got started on them about 4 months ago, and I saw him last summer when he was doing this camp. He goes, Shane, it is night and day difference. One, he's down, I don't know how much weight. Number two, he's like, dude, I am thriving off ketones and water and some fruit all day. He goes, last year I was dying. I couldn't stay in the sun very long. I was sweating too much. I was getting hot. I was getting heat exhaustion. He's like, dude, I am killing it today. He goes, I love what this is doing. And that's just one message today. And I had one yesterday. And then I had one other the day before. It's like, guys, the whole point of what we're doing is that we're changing lives and we're giving people an opportunity to what? Make a better choice. At the end of the day, here's the one thing you can think about. If you were to get 500 people, right, or 50 people drinking one packet of ketones a day, think about that. 50 people drinking one packet of ketones a day. That's 50 people placing, guess what? A Smart Ship order for 2 boxes every month. What would your volume look like? What would your residual commission look like if you had 50 people placing 2 boxes on Smart Ship every single month? I can tell you this right now, it'd be a couple $1,000s. It'd be a couple $1,000s. I don't know where you want to be. I don't know where you want to go. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish with this, but I can tell you right now, I want 1 million. I want 1 million. That's me. I want 1 million ketones being drank every single day. So what does that mean I have to do? Because I've always said this. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. Jessie Lee said it. She said the only reason I'm doing more than some of you guys is because I talk to more people. That's it. She goes, there's nothing different. Each one of you guys could be bigger than I am. But you got to do what? You got to go talk to more people than me. And she's like, I'm just a machine. I'm going to talk and talk and talk, and I'm going to create and create conversation, curiosity. She's just so committed to her vision and where she wants to go and what she wants to do. And so again, Diane, you said it. They said all the same things that I've always said, because guess what? I heard it being said at Keto Academy more. So what do? I do? I come back and I tell you.
Right. It was what was so inspiring too is what you were just saying, the stories of that BMX person that you're talking about, is the stories of some of the people in there. I mean, there was one lady that went from 500 some odd pounds down to 300. And then she's still, and then how it's changing their lives, you know? I mean, it is truly, there's nothing out there like it.
No.
Nothing.
No.
I mean, we really have definitely the advantage.
Yeah. And we're not comparing ourselves against another ketone product, guys. Nobody else out there is doing what we're doing. That's the best part of this. Mm-hmm. You're not another shake, right?
Right.
It's not a shake. It's literally a ketone drink that puts you into ketosis in 30 to 45 minutes. So there alone, boom, drop the mic. you got something different than everybody else. Nobody's ever tried this. So
there was one thing that I forgot to mention about Keto Academy. This year, a lot of the analysis they did was on the actual exogenous ketones and not the ketogenic diet.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was huge.
Yeah.
So I would probably say 80% of what we learned was all about the actual ketones that we have versus someone following a ketogenic diet, which is huge.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, all right, guys, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but thank you guys for taking the time out of your Monday night to jump on this call. I will post the recording in the post, and that way y'all can share it with your team and everybody else. But love you guys. We'll do it again on Sunday night. See you soon. Have a great week.
Thanks, Shane.